Hi guys. So Prime Minister Steve Baker, I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself there. Brexit Hardman Steve Baker asked Boris Johnson a question in the House of Commons on Wednesday about returning to the, and I quote, old normal, whatever the hell that is. What Boris Johnson says in reply is completely irrelevant because he's pretty much incapable of staying on script and actually telling the truth either. But what I found fascinating, and I wasn't the only one, also the Speaker of the House found this fascinating, was how Boris Johnson spoke to Baker as if Steve was his boss. How bizarre.
Mr. Speaker, and I've certainly disagreed occasionally with my right honourable friend in the course of this crisis, but I also certainly credit him with doing his very level best to preserve freedom and lives and prosperity in this country. But he'll know, as I know, that the public are now yearning to know when we're going to get back to the old normal. Investors need to know, the wider...
Once again, I have to ask, what the heck is the old normal? Is it before Brexit? I think many businesses would like to get back to that normal when the UK was a member of the European Union, but I don't think Steve wants to go back that far.
The public need to know, and every business person in the country needs to know when the sword of Damocles won't be hanging over them of further restrictions. Will you please bring forward a plan to get back to the old normal?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my right honourable friend that the plan is the one that we have in place, and it is to get on with Plan B, and there will be a review point as he knows. It expires, as he knows, on the 26th of this month. The Plan B measures, but by then we hope to have greatly increased the already extraordinarily high number.
Doesn't Boris Johnson look like he's explaining something to his boss? He's like, don't worry, I'm going to be able to do what you want me to do. Okay, I deserve this pay rise. He's showing more respect to Steve Baker, who has been sharpening his knives over the last number of months, than the opposition, the Labour Party, who have actually been providing him with the support he needs to get these measures through Parliament. So and this is not a case of keeping your enemies close. Steve Baker would be happy to see Boris Johnson out and someone even more extreme in. And Boris Johnson is treating this guy with kid gloves.
Number of people in this country who have not only been vaccinated but who have been boosted. Now, the number of people who have been boosted in the UK is currently 34 million, Mr. Speaker. There are a further 9 million that we need to reach, but we've already offered, as I said to the House before Christmas, our plan was to double the speed of the booster rollout, which we did. We've offered a slot to everybody. Every eligible adult got a slot before.
See, truly believe me, Steve, okay? You know, I'm on your side. Don't worry, I'm not going to throw you under a bus. I'm not going to throw businesses under a bus. Believe me, I'm the good guy here. Don't stick that knife in me.
For New Year, what we need to do now is increase that number of boosted members of the population, and then as Omicron blows through, and it is very much my hope and belief that it will. I do believe that we will be able to get back to something much closer to normality. That doesn't mean that there won't be further challenges, but I think that life will return to something much closer to normality. It won't be necessary to have the restrictions that we currently have in place. Business investors will have all the confidence that they need. But to be frank, Mr. Speaker, you're already seeing huge investments in this country because of the approach that we've taken.
I think I need to help a little bit. Prime Minister, I am here not that way to help us all. Yeah.
I'm here not that way. Obviously, Boris Johnson was speaking to Steve Baker, his boss. Now, why did I call Steve Baker his boss? Because it's a real case of the tail wagging the dog here. And I've said before that Steve Baker and others like him want to create a power base within the Conservative Party. So when Boris Johnson wants to introduce new legislation or get a bill through the House of Commons, he needs to go to Steve and say, Steve, please don't rebel here. Steve, please provide me with the support I need. I don't like going to the Labour Party. It's a bit embarrassing. And Steve will extract concessions if Boris Johnson is willing to hand over something to him in order to get Steve to support whatever bill it is. It's quite pathetic. Steve Baker is not the Prime Minister. Steve Baker is an MP. He should be there to represent his constituencies, and that's all. He shouldn't be dictating policy. He shouldn't have the Prime Minister basically on his knees, treating him with kid gloves, looking up to him, treating him as if he's the boss. He's not. And unfortunately, Boris Johnson is in this situation where he's trying to play the good guy, where he's, look, I'm going to ease all these restrictions, don't worry about it, I'm going to be popular. But at the same time, he's seeing there's a disaster unfolding. And he knows that if he ignores that, it's going to damage him in the long term. But it is quite pathetic the way that Steve Baker is being respected in this way. Steve Baker would like to see Boris Johnson gone, probably. If it benefits Steve Baker, of course. Not Britain. He doesn't give a crap about Britain. He's obviously demonstrated that on numerous occasions. It's about Steve Baker. It's about his power within the House of Commons. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.